Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hello, my name is Karen Hastie, and I am sitting in beautiful Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, a little bit further away. And I'm excited to be here. I am going to be turning 60 this year, so it's a milestone year for me. Most people are winding down their careers, and I'm finding myself winding mine up. I am a proud mother of a daughter named Haley. She is 27 years old and also an entrepreneur. And she will often share her story saying that she had no choice but to become an entrepreneur because I was a single mom at a young age and dragged her around to every event that I was involved in. And as a result, she went on to get her degree in business and marketing and straight out of school, like myself, started her business. And she's 5 years doing it, and I couldn't be any more prouder of it. And as a result, she's now gone on to become a beautiful mother and a wife, and I'm blessed to have my first and what I'm told my only granddaughter, Indiana, who's going to be turning 3 this year. So where most people my age are embracing grandmahood, or like I like to be called, Gigi, I'm sharing my journey with Indy and Haley and growing. I grew up in a small town in Coppercliff. It was a mining community. I lost my mom at a young age to breast cancer, and my father, being typical miner, it was faced raising 2 young kids at home, and we grew up fairly humble. I went on at 18 to leave the house and pursue working so I could afford to put myself through school. Graduated in a business and fitness degree, and from there I went on to start my first business, which again had some fun challenges. I decided I was going to go into a space that was primarily dominated by males. It was the fitness industry, and I ended up opening up a fitness store and ran it for a little over 35 years. And during the pandemic, obviously, fitness was a hot product, and I saw my company grow very quickly, and I found it to be a great opportunity to exit. And unlike many people who think when you sell a business, you go and retire, I like my daughter said, retired for all of about 3 months and decided that I needed to do something. And my passion has always been helping small businesses and giving back to my community. So I started by doing some consulting work, doing a little bit of mentoring, and really got to see some problems in the world for small businesses, especially after the pandemic. And I decided at that point that I was going to try to find some solutions to help small businesses really be able to compete in this digital world, in this competitive space. And I started to come up with the idea of an app. And again, not something that I have experience in, but enough to know that if you've got a problem and you can find a solution, just surround yourself with some really smart people. And that's exactly what I did. And we started to create the Chamber Perks app. And that app has kept me quite busy over the last 3 years. And from there, it's opened up many new opportunities to further expand the tech world. And we're now going to be launching a CRM called Chamber Member Pro, which will really encompass a suite of services for chambers of commerce across Canada, the US, and actually, the world, to better help their members and help them. So that's been really exciting. I still like to spend time with my family and friends when I'm not working, which a lot of people will tell you is pretty much never. I'm going to be embracing a beautiful trip next week. I will be spending some time in Ireland as part of a celebration of my 60th year with my daughter, my son-in-law, and my granddaughter. So that's going to be something that I'm really looking forward to. And as always, I will be carrying my little brown book, and I will be making notes on things that I think matter to me and to the people I want to help, which are businesses. And hopefully from there, I will be able to continue to develop innovative stuff that can help businesses. Some of my hobbies that I like, just real quickly, is being able to golf, play tennis, and pickleball. And my goal is to find some time to do that.
Karen, your story is absolutely inspiring. I'm always searching for those women who refuse to roll over and die, who retire and get up and start something else. This is an incredible story at the age of 60 that you've started this new adventure. So tell us, what is Chamber Perks app and why now?
Yeah, great question. I mean, why now is probably the easiest thing. Is because, it's just why not now, right? I mean, there's a problem. I have time. So I put the two together and said, let's do it. And the biggest thing for me was I saw something after the pandemic, and that was small businesses really not being able to adapt to technology and really struggling. And then my passion and belonging to the Chamber of Commerce for over 35 years and serving as a board of director, it kind of got me to look at the two and said, hey, I think there's a gap here that can be bridged. And so that's why it was formed. And the Chamber Perks app really is just an easy way for businesses to be discovered, connected with, and it allows them an opportunity to offer perks and incentives for consumers to come in and support their businesses. And now we're being faced with even bigger challenges. As you may be aware, we are seeing tariffs being implemented with one of our largest trading partners, and we now have to find ways to really have our businesses work at being able to form new partnerships. And I believe the app's going to help them with that.
Yeah, it's an interesting time to be alive right now, especially with the US-Canadian relationships changing and shifting. Now, how did it feel to start a tech business, and what doubts did you face going into it at the age of 60?
I keep hearing 60 and it's like, oh my goodness, that number seems so big, because I just think of each decade as a milestone for me. Honestly, it felt kind of both exciting and empowering. There's a big misconception, I think, that innovation in tech belongs to young people. And I think what's important is that we recognize that experience is really something that's important. And I think that's what I brought to the table. And like anyone who's been in business, to be successful, you surround yourself with smart people. And for me, it was, bringing in young tech people. And, that's been a challenge in itself as well, right? When I show up at a conference and I've got 28-year-olds, my daughter who does our marketing, my CTO that's 28 years old. And then, here I sit as the CEO, and, it's funny. And even sometimes, my daughter will say, Mom, and then he'll say, oh, don't worry, Karen, I can help you. I've helped my mom with that kind of stuff. And I'm like, all of a sudden I'm mom and I want to be the CEO, you know what I mean? But I love that because it tells me that, there's a generational gap, and I think we're aware of that. And I think people are struggling with how to work with younger generations. And you know what? You just got to get to know them, and you got to understand that what's important to us isn't necessarily what's important to them, and that's okay. We just got to find a way to work. So, those have been challenges but they've been challenges that I've been able to overcome. I might not have been able to do it 30 years ago when I was working, but I'm becoming a little bit more patient. So,
Oh, I love it. So what gap in the market did you see, and how is your app solving that problem?
yeah. So basically, chambers of commerce have been around for over 200 years. What they
Yes.
did 200 years ago and what they do now is exactly the same thing. They serve their members and they help their members, and they'll talk about how they can grow their network, how they can advocate for them, and how they can support them. The
Yes.
problem is they haven't done anything innovative, and they haven't really adopted the digital end of it. And unfortunately, the makeup of a business 50 years ago and 40 years ago and 30 years ago is different. The typical business now might be a hybrid business. It might only be 3 people versus the big industries that existed before. So I think chambers had to really look at how they're going to engage and connect with those members. And I just know that, anything that you can put in an app and anything that creates innovation is going to make it way cooler. And I think that's what chambers needed to do, was become a little bit more relevant and connect a little bit with that newer generations coming up, so that they didn't run out of, they say members, I say customers, right? So
Yeah, that's so good. Now, how has your experience as a serial seller influenced your approach to business and tech?
well, I've often said this when people say to me all the time when they meet me, "Oh my God, you could sell anything," and I used to always say to them, "That's not necessarily the case." The reason
Yeah.
I'm maybe good or successful at selling is because I've been very strategic in making sure that anything that I'm going to promote or sell, I believe in, and I have a strong passion and I'm engaged in it, right?
Right.
So for me, the teaching people to be a serial seller, and I jokingly say that because the people I get most excited about to help learn how to sell are people who don't think they're salespeople, right? And
Right.
I hear that all the time, and I when I say to them, like, I can help you grow your business by giving you some advice on how to sell, and they're like, well, we're not salespeople. And I say, oh, well, what do you do? Well, we sell insurance. Like you just said, but you don't say you do. And then they kind of look, right? Because they're not your typical salespeople. So when it
Oh,
came to teaching chambers that they need to look at their members as a customer and they need to be able to sell the benefit and sell why joining the chamber, they were kind of
yes.
looking at me like, well, we're not going to sell. And I'm like, yeah, you are. You just need to do it in a different way. So, that was kind of exciting for me to be able to take my strong sales skills and use it as a way of teaching chambers how to use the app. And what's cool about the app is we've even incorporated a non-dues revenue platform that allows chambers to sell advertising space and on the app to their members. And right away their eyes get big and they're like, sell? And I'm like, that's right, sell. But I said the difference is you sell sponsorship, you sell events, you sell
Yes.
things that you think are important to you, but maybe aren't as important to members, and you think it's easy to sell. I'm going to tell you, when you sell something that somebody wants, it is really easy to do. And if you
That-
do a good job in showing value, it becomes even easier.
So, what are some of the most unexpected challenges in building a tech platform from scratch?
For me, probably some of the biggest challenges were, the misconception of somebody who's not seen as a tech person.
Yes.
When you go out and you're pitching it, or if you're going out and you're even looking for investors or stuff like that. And so for me, it was really making sure that I could pitch the importance of the app, the why of the app, and then, straight out say, oh, and the technical end, I've got that covered by a really smart team, right? And that was, one of the biggest challenges for me, to feel that I was worthy enough to stand in front of people and pitch tech, not being a tech person. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. So, how do you balance tech learning curves with running a growing business? There's so much going on right now. The technology is leapfrogging so fast.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. Innovation is moving faster, and as somebody who's had to learn the digital world. And I mean, trust me, you're talking about somebody five years ago who was going to my daughter and say, can you post this on Instagram for me? Can you show me how to do this? Right? Like I was just your typical Facebook person, keep scrolling. So I think it's overcoming the fear, right? Of
Yes.
that we can't learn that. And, again, I go back to the pandemic because I found this to be a really good example. I watched my dad, who was 85, who was living on his own, learn how to do online banking. And he also learned how to order skip the dish. So he adapted to downloading an app and learning it. And that's when I had the aha moment. I said, when faced with it, people can learn it. If given the option, they tend to back away. So, I've just come to realize that tech does not have to be scary. It's really something that if you take your time and learn it, and you can't really screw it up if you're playing with it, and then from the development aspect of it, I know where my comfort zone is, and I don't ever step into the coding end but I am very much a visionary. So I just go to my guy and I say, you got to make it do this, this, and this. And even if he comes back and says, well, I said, well, they'll figure it out. Right. And sure enough, he'll come back and he'll say, yeah, I can get it to work. So yeah, I think it's overcoming fear.
So I guess knowing your limits and surrounding yourself with the smart people who can complement your weaknesses is really what has got you to this point, correct?
100%. 100%. You know what? I've often said to people, most of my successes have come from my failures, and anything that I've achieved, I have not achieved alone. And I always make it a point to, whenever, I've won a few awards in my time too, and I tend to be a little bit shy to take any kind of credit for anything, because I do strongly believe that behind every strong person, and even a strong female, is a group of supporters. And they don't have to necessarily be the doers, but they can also be the supporters. And I've been blessed to have both doers and supporters. My daughter has been a big supporter. And, it was really hard, to be honest with you, when she was launching her career, it was her time to shine. And, instead of me bowing down and retiring and supporting her business, oh no, I fire up and start, right? And I now, really try to not overshine my daughter. And it was funny because when we used to go out together, it would always be introduced as, this is Karen's daughter, Haley. And lately when we go out, it's, oh, you're Haley's mother. And then, that's such a proud moment for me to be able to say that. And I said, Haley, it shows me that you've done an amazing job of building your own identity. And I don't ever want to take that away from her. You know what I mean? I want to be her biggest cheerleader and stand beside her, because that's what she's done for me for most of my life. So.
Yeah. Oh, that is so beautiful. And you're so right. It is a matter of you watching her blossom and kind of growing into her own while you continue to do what you do, because I don't think you'll ever stop.
Well, I hope not. I mean, I want to keep going. I mean, I don't know if I can continue to grow at the last 4 years pace. I mean, we're trying to build our team right now. And, listen, how I choose to run my business is certainly different than some people probably do. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on a work balance life. And I'm encouraging that with my daughter, because it's something that I wasn't necessarily given that opportunity as a single mom. I really had to work and balance time with her. She's in a much better position, where she's got a supportive husband and he works and she does. And I find that she is able to balance, and I'm happy for her, because I think, there's a lot of pressure on women to, if you're going to be in business, you got to be there, beyond 9 to 5, 100% going forward. And that's not necessarily the case. You just got to build that business has to fit your lifestyle, not your lifestyle fit the business.
True, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to women who feel like it's too late to start something new?
It's never too late. If you believe in something and you have a passion and you have the will to do it, just do it. It doesn't have to be at a huge scale. It can be just a summer project, a small project, or a big corp, and just do it.
Yeah, I do love that Nike slogan. And you grow your wings on the way down, right? It's like jumping out of an airplane without a parachute.
Exactly.
you do learn along the way and grow those wings.
Excuse me.
What kind of feedback are you getting from chambers and businesses who are using your app?
Well, it's interesting because I apologize. We've had a really good broad representation of chambers all across Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we'll get a big corporation, they'll have a big team that can support them. And that comes with its own challenges.
Right.
Then we hit some really small chambers where there's one person running it and they might not have a tech background. And that fear of adopting that digital space kind of scares them off. So,
Yeah.
you know what? We just like to be there for them. Let them grow at their own pace. We don't force it on anyone. We tell them if it's not a right fit for you, that's okay. Come back later. And those that are willing to go, we try to just put the accelerator and support them.
I love that. Yeah, technology can be frightening when you haven't been using it, especially in such an innovative way. So, why is community connection so important to you personally and professionally?
Yeah, I mean, listen, my whole business was grown from grassroots. My community supported me. I believe you have to give back to your community in many different ways. And I've instilled that on my daughter. I have volunteered and committed myself to volunteer, sit on boards, sponsorship, donations, because whatever you give, you get back 10 times over. And I think that's what allows me to, pick up a phone, call someone and get them to take the phone call. I think it's why when I speak to someone, they can see that I'm speaking out of passion and out of experience, and I'm not just trying to pitch something. So I think, embracing your community and supporting and understanding where you come from is something that's important. And it's why when I go to these chambers in little communities, I can speak to that little community, and I can also speak to the bigger communities, because my business, was a business that did local business, but we also grew and were doing businesses across Canada. So
I love it.
Both. Yeah.
So, what mindset shifts helped you navigate imposter syndrome or self doubt as you are building this new venture?
Well, I mean, yeah, like I think everyone at some point in their time always doubts if they have the will and the stamina to make it to the end. I know, especially, this company has been totally bootstrapped by myself. It's been built by a small and mighty team. My CTO was working in Silicon Valley, believed so heartedly in the project that he gave up that career to come here. And, there's a lot of weight on me. I'm a little bit more financially capable to go without pulling in an income. But when you take a young man and you take him out of a really good career and you say, trust me, let's do it, there's a lot of pressure on me to make sure that, I'm going to get him to the finish line. And, I tell him that all the time. And he says, listen, nothing ventured, nothing gained. He goes, if it was easy, he goes, you would have had a lineup of people here. He says, so, don't put that pressure on yourself. And then, using my daughter as the marketing company to push our product out there, there's that fine line between a mother-daughter relationship and a business partnership relationship. So sometimes I doubt, am I pushing her too much? Am I going to strain our mother-daughter relationship? So, so far it's been pretty good. I can sense some body language, and I'm pretty good at picking those up, and I just use that.
So all of your work experience kicks in that sense.
Very much so. I've learned, like, probably the biggest thing I've learned is that not everyone is going to have the same passion that you have, and not everyone is going to be invested the same way that you are, and that's okay. So I've learned to be able to balance that with the people around me.
So can you share a win moment that confirmed that you were on the right track?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's quite a few of them, because I always look at a win as not like the Stanley Cup win. It's little milestone wins, right? Yes. So to me, when we had great success launching the app in our local community, and then all of a sudden chambers started contacting us saying they wanted it, that was a huge milestone. Being asked to speak at the Canadian Chamber Association, where I got to get up in front and pitch the app, and watching people come over and say, this is incredible, this is wonderful. Those were milestones. Being nominated for a few awards, being recognized as an innovation product, when I think, geez, like, I still struggle sometimes with the innovation, because I always just see it as a problem, a solution.
Yes.
Being asked to speak on podcasts like you are wins for me, right? When people want to hear my story or think that it's interesting. So yeah, to me, anytime I get a pat on the back or a wow, or those are milestones for me. It's never been about the big win at the end. It's about the little wins for me
Along the way, and celebrating those little wins as well, right?
100%.
Sometimes we forget that each little step is getting you closer to the goal.
Yeah. And with those wins are some losses, right? Like, and that's, to me, I've always said to someone, like, if you think you're going to start a business and your path is going to be straight to the finish line with victory, 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 like, good luck. If you can figure that out, then,
like that.
then go license it, because that's really good. Because to me, it's about failing and pivoting and learning.
Yes.
And being humble enough to know, hey, I didn't get that right this time, but that's okay, because there's another path and we're going to find it, right? So those are big things.
Yeah. I've always said that all of my failures were just the stepping stones to my success. I learned from it, been there, done it, won't do it that way again.
100%. That is actually a part of my book. I've started to write a book 20 years ago. Okay. And it was started off as just notes that I was taking through everything I've learned through my processes. And every time I went back and over it, I'd always see that line coming up, that failure is just a path to success. Right. Yes. And, one of my goals when I supposedly was supposed to retire was to finish my book and get it published. And I've realized that I don't think I'm ever going to finish the book. Every time I get to it, I open up a different chapter. So I said to my daughter, this might be a book that you may have to finish for me one day when I'm not around. And she goes, oh, I've got the perfect ending. I'm like, what is that? Yeah. The end, right? And she goes, Mom, your journey can end anytime you've done, more than what you wanted to do. So it's kind of funny. Yeah. So
my last two questions for you are a bit of a thought experiment.
Sure.
In the first one, I'm going to teleport you back to the younger you, that young woman who had retired, wink, wink.
Okay.
And decided to get up and start something new. If you could go back and give her 3 nuggets of wisdom, based on what life has taught you up until this point, and let's just talk in general, women wanting to go into business. If you could go back and give the younger you 3 nuggets of wisdom, what would those 3 nuggets of wisdom be?
Probably don't be afraid to fail, would be one of them. Give yourself some credit and celebrate every little accomplishment. Those would probably be the 3 things.
That's beautiful. Last question. I'm teleporting you into the future this time. And we are going to go and meet the 90-year-old you. And she's sitting in her rocking chair, surrounded by her 1 grandchild and maybe little great-grandbabies.
Yeah.
If we could go into the future to meet this wise woman who has led you up until this point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her? Now, I like asking women this question because a lot of women don't realize that the wise woman is already in them. She's already here. She's that quiet voice that tells you, do it, do it, do it, or go left, go right, say yes, say no. What will you say to your wise woman when you finally meet her?
I think for me, one of the big things would be to say to that person that you did good. You did enough. There's no shame in not accomplishing everything that you set out to do. I think that's been one of my pressures I've always put in my life. And my daughter will say that to me. I've always planned my life, when I was going to do this, when I was going to do that. And in doing that, sometimes you miss the opportunity to experience those parts of your life. So I would just say to someone, don't be afraid to stop, take a look, and make sure that you've experienced it, not just accomplished it.
Fantastic. Beautiful way to end the interview, Karen. Thank you so much for coming online and inspiring our community today with your story.
Thank you very much. And you've really got me to think about my life. And I'm going to keep asking myself what that wise woman would say, just so I can stay on track. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I appreciate it.
And thank you to everybody who tuned in. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We're a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, inspire you, energize you, but most importantly, to take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So if you are looking for an app for your Chamber of Commerce, reach out. Here is a fantastic tool to get you into the next century. I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And Karen, thanks again. Safe travels to Ireland. And I will catch up with you next week. Bye for now, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.